Welcome once again to Ohio Tabletop Gamers. Today I'm just giving my thoughts on the Human Defense Force Light APC, the main transport of the Human Defense Force. So without much further, let's go ahead and get started and see what it's all about. So out of the box, the Light APC is 200 points. It has a quality 4 and a defense 2. It has fast, hold the line, that's the Army-wide rule, an impact 3, a tough 6, and it transports 11. It comes out of the box with a heavy flamer, 12-inch range, 1 attack, AP1, blast 3, reliable, and a turret heavy flamer, 12-inch range, 1 attack, AP1, blast 3, reliable. So out of the box, this isn't a bad setup. Personally, if I was just wanting to move troops up the field, I'd just leave it straight like this out of the box for 200 points. I just want to get troops forward, and if I can get with it, I get within range to use the flamers. That's awesome. The blast weapons are decent. I mean, that's 2 attacks, 2 blast 3, hitting on 2s because they're reliable. So that's not bad. Plus you have the impact, so if you really want to, run into a unit, you can. So out of the box is pretty good if you're just wanting something that protects the troops to get them up the field and you want nothing else out of that APC. Run it straight out of the box like this. 200 points isn't all that bad. You're going to, save points for other things like the unit that you have inside the transport may need those extra points. So, out of the box 200 points, get a unit across the field, or if you're wanting to use this to get a unit, up in midfield, mid-board, into some cover. I mean, obviously we all have our preferences on how we're going to use these things and what we're going to put inside. But out of the box, it works really good. Now you can get upgrades on this. You can add Hunter missiles, 24-inch range, 1 attack, AP2, deadly 3, limited and unstoppable for 15 points. So you get to use it one time. It's not bad if you got an extra 15 points laying around to throw a Hunter missile in there. I mean, it does help. I mean, anything helps with HDF. You can replace the turret heavy flamer with a heavy machine gun for 10 points, or a laser machine gun for 30 points. And I should say, you can replace the heavy flamer with another heavy machine gun for 10 more points. And then you can just add a Printal machine gun for 25 points. Now, okay, this gets into what you want to use this light APC for. I have run them with some of these variations on here just because it looked more like I was using a light tank that happened to have transport. So I wanted, a shooter. So the laser machine gun to me was a must. So I put the laser machine gun on there because I wanted the AP3. AP3 is not too shabby, especially, you're going after, T3s, the T6s with that laser machine gun. That's not bad. Or even a unit in cover to kind of help negate their cover save. 30 points isn't that bad. Then I added, of course, the heavy machine gun. I replaced my heavy flamer with a heavy machine gun, and then I added the other machine gun. So, you're getting 3 attacks at AP3 with a laser machine gun, and then total you're getting 5 more attacks at AP1 with both the machine guns. And it's kind of like, running like a light tank that happens to have transport. So using it as a light tank isn't really a bad idea. It's worked out a couple times. I mean, sometimes it flops. It is only a tough 6, and it's going to be shot at by everything on the board. But having that extra firepower, isn't bad. You're just thinking I got like a light tank here instead of a transport. Just that in your own head. It's not a bad idea. Now I know the flamers work better, I would say, if you're going to go right up into the enemy's crawl like that. You want to use the flamers if you can, because you're going to be right up on top of an infantry unit or something. So that will be better for you than spending all those other points on the guns. But if you want to transport to bring mid-levels to mid-board, you could put the heavy weapons in there if you want. If you really want to run a heavy weapons team, you could use the transport light tank to get your heavy weapons up, and then you got some nice shooting from your proxy light tank, along with your heavy weapons team that can come out. That's not a bad idea either. It just depends on what points you have and what you want to do with your APC. And finally, you can upgrade with any of these. You can get the vehicle radio for your extended buff range. So if you're wanting to buff this APC with, with precision shooter, if you want to give it, a buff in its range of movement, it's not a bad idea. That way, whoever you have as an officer can be a little bit further away to make them go faster, or to buff them to shoot, on a 3 instead of a 4. More than likely, though, you're probably going to be looking at the Dozer Blade for Strider, and possibly, excuse me, if you're going to use it kind of like a proxy light tank, you might want the Stealth. It's a possibility. You're talking a lot of points now that you're sinking into a transport, so it's just really up to you and how your play style is and what you want to do. There isn't really a right or wrong here. It's just that if you make it like a light tank-ish thing, you're going to pay a pretty good amount of points. And why not take, an attack vehicle or a tank at that point? So there's that to consider. Unless you just like a model that happens to be an APC and you just want to run it. This is all for fun. So I would say do what you like, for fun. But then again, if you're just wanting to move troops up the field, get them up there safely, there really isn't any reason to sink many more points than maybe the base. The only thing I think I might throw on there, obviously, is your Strider, so you can get through terrain, without having, the limit of the 6-inch movement. So that one is a very smart idea. So, but really, running it base with Strider is really the way that I normally would run it. I don't want to put a whole lot of points into the transport, because what I need is what's inside the transport. So I want to save those points for something else. Now, just a little thing. I'm more of an infantry guy. I'm not a huge mech guy, using transports and tanks and things like that. I have them, and I do run them on occasion. But I just love the infantry. I love figuring out different ways to use the infantry without needing a battle tank or an attack vehicle or, armored truck or APC, anything like that. Heck, even walkers. Now, I use the walkers a lot, but I'm just saying that I'm not a big mech guy. So, using an APC for me is on occasion. Normally, I get as much as I can get out of the scouting, with veterans and stuff, and not use an APC. But the APC has its advantages. It's just, it's a lot of points, in my opinion. When I'm running infantry, I know I'm always talking about points because I run a ton of infantry and I want more. So sinking more points into an APC, I'm like, but I can get another infantry unit in and, max my activations out, because a lot of times you'll see my armies with 9 or 10 activations on a 2,000 point game. I want to out activate my opponent every single time if I can. But that doesn't mean that you need to do that it's bad to run mech. Of course not. it's all dependent on how you want to play and how well the transport works for you. Now, obviously, I just did a video on the armored truck, and pound for pound, I'm sorry, but the armored truck has the advantage because it's cheaper and it does a little bit more, as in transport wise, than you can with the light APC. However, the APC has more firepower. So if you're really wanting to get stuck in with this transport and do some damage, you really can't do that with the armored truck, but you can with the APC. And you can even make it kind of a pseudo light battle tank. So it's pretty cool. It works out. Again, you can use this to bring up like your robot ogres, weapons teams for mid-board play. You could bring in like the ogres, with their melee to get them in, or you could bring in a unit of 10 veterans, maybe even with a company leader attached with the demo charges. You jump out and you get all those attacks with AP4s. You could sink a tank possibly. What I've run them back. This is before the patch, where you could pick 2. I'd like to run them with the demo charges and the +4 on defense, right? Along with shotguns. That way I can jump out and get an APC with those demo charges, and or even a monster or something. I'm just saying, like a bigger unit. You don't want to jump out of the APC and attack a chaff unit with AP4 because they're limited, so you're only going to get that one shot. But with an officer giving you a boost with your melee, that's not bad. You can put a hurting on a walker or a tank or a transport or a monster of some sort. You really can. And obviously, on your next activation with them, if they're still around, then you've got the shotguns, that can really do some damage, finish things off, or hit infantry with them. It gives you a lot of versatility. Now, don't get me wrong, it is a lot of points to build a veteran unit with shotguns and the demo charges with an officer giving them a boost inside of a transport. This is a heavy hitter, but you are putting a lot of points into it, but it works really well. If you haven't tried that, give that a shot. You will surprise your opponent if you can get your transport up to where your guys inside can charge, because they got the 6-inch limit in movement. But those demo charges with your officer there giving them a little help, that's devastating. It really works well. So if you haven't tried that, give that a try. Transport with your stormtroopers in there with various weapons works well. You could put sapper units in there with the relentless flamers, just like what I said with the armored truck. I mean, you could really put two 6-man, I'm sorry, like a 6-man unit of sappers and then an independent unit of 3 maybe, just to maximize, because you could activate the 6 sapper unit out with flamers, or even like a mix flamers with drum rifles or something like that, whatever you like, and really take something on. And then the next turn or next activation, you could jump out with a unit of 3, right? And do something else to them. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. Or jump out with your robot ogres and get in some hand-to-hand. I mean, obviously, if you run HDF, you've run APCs, you know exactly what you want it for. So this video is just my thoughts on it. Obviously, you already probably run APCs. You already know what you're going to do with them. But it's just, it's thoughts of different ways to run the APC. I really honestly do think, just like in my last video, that right now, pound for pound, stripped down versions of transports, that armored truck is better at this moment. I mean, if you're just going to run a stripped down APC, you're going to save a little bit of points just going with the armored truck. It doesn't, you won't get the impact or, all that other stuff. It's the same toughness, though. And so you might want to look at that before you pick this. Now, obviously, if you're wanting to run bigger guns or you really want these flamers to do something, well, then by all means, the APC is definitely better. But anyway, there's a lot of things you can do with this. Now, in competitive play, again, when I do play competitive, I do not run any mechs. I run all infantry because I see the HDF as resilient. You can really make the army resilient. But so I don't run an APC in competitive play, but I know guys that do, and they do well. So don't get me wrong. I'm not the leading expert on this. These are just my opinions and thoughts. And if you have any thoughts on this, definitely let's get a discussion going in the comments below. This is all. If you guys have any ideas on a better way to run this APC, the loadout for it, the buffing for it, put it in the comments. This is all here for everyone to see the video, to read the comments, so we can help each other out. Find the best way for ourselves to run, this army. And the APC is great. I really like it. Like I said, I run it on occasion, but not really in competitive play for me, and that's just me. But yeah, if you have anything to add to this, any things that you guys do, ways that you like to run them, I'm sure that anybody watching the video and then reading the comments will thank you for any extra thoughts and ideas that might work for them, because everybody's play style is different. So what I do may not go with 80-90% of the people watching, but you might have an idea that will help 80% of the people. So by all means, put something in the comments section, something that I didn't mention, ideas that you have on how you like to run them, because we're just here to help each other out. And so anyway, those are my thoughts on the APC. I know it's not extensive, but it's just me rambling on what I think about it. It's good overall. I think base with Strider, to me, is the way I would prefer running it, but I'm going to go straight up the field at somebody. You may not want to do that. It's just up to you and how you like to play. So anyway, that is my thoughts for today. I wish you all many more happy games ahead of you. I wish the best for you and your family. Take care.